A very warm welcome to this webinar of the World Wind Energy Association, which is today about an important, often a bit underestimated topic. This is about small wind, how to make small wind big. Small wind turbines, usually defined as up to 50 or 100 kilowatt. We use 100 kilowatt. We also deal with larger wind turbines up to 1 megawatt. We call them medium-sized wind turbines. What we've seen is that this market segment has not developed as big as other market segments, but we believe there is a strong reason why small wind must play a bigger role. We will speak exactly about the reasons today why small wind has to play a role. But before we start, let me give you some technical information. So this webinar is, of course, publicly available. Those who are here, everybody can join, and it will be recorded and later be available on our YouTube channel. So those who raise their hands, who show their face, please be please be aware that is public. So if you don't want to do that, then please don't open your camera, etc. I would also like to request those in the audience, if you want to ask questions to our speakers, and please raise your hand if that's possible here electronically. And then after we call you, you may then speak also to us. There's also the chat function where you can also write your questions if you have any. Let me also say thank you to the supporter of this webinar. It's the company Profecventus, which has made it possible that we can present these webinars free of charge. Now, I would like to start with our first speaker, and he is the co-chair of our small wind section, Mr. Frits Ogg from the Netherlands. Frits, we've been working quite hard earlier this year to finalize an application also for the European Union project. We know very well now what we believe should be done for small wind energy. We see now booming photovoltaic markets around the world. It's kind of incredible how PV is taking off. When we compare the situation with, let's say, 10, 15 years ago, when there was kind of similar cost, small wind and PV, and how it's developed since that time, of course, there's an amazing progress in PV. And we also see now that small wind in particular can complement, especially in those areas where you have standalone systems. But let's talk about this more in detail. Let me mention that we've just today released our installation figures for the larger wind turbines, and we've installed last year, 2024, 121 gigawatt of new wind turbines. That sounds not so bad, but it's actually a little bit less than in the previous year. And 87 gigawatt out of these 121 were installed in one country alone, that's China. Brazil has also done quite well, but if we take China away, then the installation numbers decreased from 42 to 34 gigawatt, which means it's a quite dramatic, substantial decrease. So we see that wind energy is not, as outside China, a very, very, at the moment, booming industry. It's performing reasonably well. And then we look at the small wind section where we're here today, where they can be used. Then we see that obviously we need to do something to make people aware what are the benefits. The sun is shining only during the day, there's no doubt, especially when you talk about the northern and southern hemisphere. Then there's the winter time when there is even less sun, and then that's where we see in particular that small wind can play a role. But with this, let me hand over to you, Frits. Frits, you are really a long-term pioneer in renewable energy in general, working in the Netherlands, and you will give us now a general overview of where small and medium wind stands. Frits.
Well, right. Can you see it?
Not yet. No, there's
Okay,
not yet. You should.
I have to do it again. This one. And delen is
Now the screen starts sharing.
okay, and now it's this one. Mm,
Yes. Now, if you
No.
go to your presentation mode.
That's it. Yes, that's it.
Excellent. Please go ahead.
Perfect. Well, on the first page you see two very small wind turbines. I like this picture very well. It's two turbines of 20 watts. So it's one of the smallest ones and one of the best in their kind for such a powering of 20 watts for Antarctica and rough weather situations. Well, I will tell you something about the world market, but small, some specific markets, a little bit about the world potential, certification, testing, and related industries. We have about around 1.2 megawatts small winds at the moment in the world. And it's nearly the same amount for the small wind turbines. It's a little bit difficult to get exact numbers of how many small wind turbines are on the world. We have some problems by getting the numbers. Most of the small wind turbines are deployed decentralized and are mostly placed in rural areas, are privately owned. There's mostly no registry, and sometimes small wind is placed without a permit, and owners are afraid to get publicly saying somewhere they have a small wind turbine. So there's no centralized database. We have that with utility scale wind, so that makes also that we have a lower problem with getting the numbers. There are countries which report only capacity, but then we have a problem with definition of small wind. Some countries say until 50 kilowatt, others say 100 kilowatt, other countries say 125 kilowatt. And then there's also underreporting, so the numbers are higher because a lot of do-it-yourself installations are not counted. So we don't know that. We know a lot of do-it-yourself installations are built, especially huge packet installations, but we don't have an exact number. And then small medium wind manufacturers don't are publicly presenting their amount of sold small and medium wind turbines. There's a very big potential. The National Renewable Energy Laboratories in the United States had a study 3 years ago for North America, and they came on 1,400 gigawatt small and medium wind potential, only for North America. So WWEA is now working on an overview for the other continents. And when you make an estimated guess for the world, you see the same, nearly the same potential for other continents. So there's a very huge potential worldwide. With small wind, with big wind, normally you can transport the wind turbines over the world. But with small wind, it's better to have local that they are local produced. But on the other side, you need research and development, and that means you need a bigger manufacturer that can spend money on research and development on their small wind turbines. But they can be produced locally with licenses. And then I will come back on that. We have also a lot of what we call telcel products. Well, the size of a wind turbine. What is small wind? There are two ways to define that. You can do that by generator size. Often you need that for permitting. And then you can say small is somewhere between 10 watts and 100 to 125 kilowatts. And then there is another part that we call now medium, 100 kilowatt to 1 megawatt. Most of these turbines are solitaire. There are some exceptions. Sometimes there are two pictures now. One of a ferry with a V27 from Vestas, 225 kilowatts, and it was the biggest turbine that could go on the ferry, but the Rune Island needed 500 kilowatt, so they had to place two turbines. Normally you should place a 500 kilowatt turbine, but that's a logistical problem. But also with small very small wind turbines, that's the case. Bergy had a telecom station on a mountaintop, which needed 10 kilowatt turbine, but the 10 kilowatt turbine has a weight of 800 kilos, and the top only could be reached by mules. And so they had to place 10 1 kilowatt turbines to get this radio station powered. Well, there's another way of looking at a turbine, and that's looking at their use. And then it's not an exact generator size, so you can define a range. And the smallest one is for sensors. We have very, very small wind turbines, even to 1 watt. And then also for telemetry, for assisting solar in areas where there are measuring stations, for instance, for registering earthquakes. Then there you have the section for leisure. Think about sail yachts. We have a category for households. We have a category for farms, small and medium enterprises, telecom base stations, I will come back on that, hamlets, little villages, and the bigger ones for communities. Then we have manufacturers that have a track record and are producing wind turbines for more than 50 years and more than 25 years. And so they have a proven track record, and they have also certified small and medium wind turbines. We have the do-it-yourself niche market with a track record. The Jacobs is more than 30 years on the market now. We have startups with a local produced small wind turbine, which is in a certifying process, or are building up now a track record because you have to show that your turbine lasts more than, let's say, 20 years. So for that you produce energy more than 20, you have to show that you can produce more than 20 years energy. Well, and there's also a category, we call it marketing turbines or sell turbines. They're looking for investors. They have mostly a theoretical gains and a very nice website, but they don't have a pilot turbine. I will come back on that. This is the most important slide because it's more or less a totally overview. It's not complete, but we have in the world, a quarter of the world is of the land surface in the world is no grid. Think about Africa, India. We have a lot of places in the world with what's called a bad grid, where you have 8 hours a day electricity. It's a bad grid. So there's also a problem for telecom in that way. So it's very nice to have small wind in cooperation with solar and diesel at the point. Then there are islands, tens of thousands of islands worldwide, and they have a problem with fuel transportation costs. And also they are working on, they are afraid of climate change and are working on alternatives. We have mining, the remote sites, and also have a lot of fuel transport costs, which makes a small and medium wind turbine better to get economically feasible. Well, we can use it for desalination and for water. We can use it for local hydrogen production, and it's has been shown it's possible by ITM Power in Sheffield. A lot of places in the world have a weak grid, and we can realizing an heavier grid, mostly also at the moment in hybrid installations with batteries and solar. It's even possible in urbanized or suburbanized areas in the world. We have now distributed energy, and one of the examples is the state of New York. After Sandy, they are working on local areas with distributed energy, and such an area has to make their own energy and can use in suburban areas small wind. You have the problem with the nuisance circle. Think about shadow, noise, especially in suburbanized and urbanized areas. When you have a permit for such an area, you are not allowed to repower. So when you have a turbine placed there 20 years ago, you can't place a bigger turbine there. So that's a repowering, a refurbish market. So you can only place the same power there on that place. Then you have telecom. Telecom we have about 1 million telecom towers in the world, and the expectation is that it will grow to 4 million. But every telecom tower needs about 15 to 80 kilowatts, and not only to charge the phones, not only for the equipment of the telecom, but also to charge phones. So a lot of telecom operators in no-grid areas are now placing a bigger wind turbine, let's say not 15 kilowatt, but 80 kilowatt, to also have the phones of their customers charged. We have community wind. There are a lot of rural villages on the end of the line, as the grid people will call that. And then we can, in such an end of line place, we can place maximum 300 kilowatt technically in the grid. The national parks, which are afraid of an oil spill risk to generate when they're generating electricity with oil. For instance, also on the island of St. Helena, that's the case. There are a lot of places where there is a distributed energy for heating, especially, for instance, in Denmark. But there's also sometimes now too much wind. And then you can easily transform this wind energy into heating and support the combined heat and power plant. Well, I said already, difficult to reach sites. Logistics, that's showed Anacon in the island of Bonaire, where they needed 14 megawatt, and so they placed 1,200 smaller turbines, because there was no crane in the Caribbean to get a big turbine placed. Then we have the application of emergency powers at several locations, man-made, natural disasters, military is experimenting. We have a lot of festivals that want to be green, and we have hurricane areas, and some wind turbines can be lowered or have a rotor that can be lowered. You can see that afterwards there's a lot of organizations working on small and medium wind, but WWEA is the only one who is working worldwide on small and medium wind. All the other ones are following the money and only working on big wind. And the Telcel, there's a lot of small wind turbines on the market now, and they are promoting and making a website, and a very nice presentation is very cheap. So as a manufacturer, new on the market, you have to show you need references, you need trust. A lot of people, and also big wind is looking at small wind as they looking bad. They think small wind is bad for them because there are so much of these small wind turbines on the market that didn't deliver what they promised to deliver. You can see the presentations from Paul Kuip via this link on this page, this sheet. Then we need also test fields. I think we need to test certifies before they come on the market, and we have several tests. We are also investigating now which test fields in the world are still working and available. We need also standards. When you want to make small wind big, you need standardization. And you need also a universal certification, and especially you need it worldwide, but it isn't there. Nearly every country has its own certification. It's more than only making a small wind turbine. There's a lot of related industry around small wind. We have sometimes we can repower, like Borgi also does, who's more than 40 years on the market, and now his older turbines can be repowered now with better rotors, better efficiency of the generator. So the older wind turbine can be replaced with a better one. There's a refurbish. So when you are not allowed to place a bigger turbine with a higher noise circle, you can have a complete renovation. Retrofit, there's a difference between refurbish and retrofit. Retrofit is only that you only renew a part, and the rest of the turbine is used longer. You need to do regular maintenance, repairing industry. Sometimes you can use the turbine on another place, so it's replacing. We have to think about recycling. So we have also in the design of a wind turbine, look at recycling. We need dealers, we need test sites, we need logistics, installers, test the place, we need cranes, and before we are placing a wind turbine with measurement. Well, WWEA works on global interviews. Stefan said already, we work now on make small wind big for Europe, but we have also planned now for other continents to get promotion campaign funded by continental organizations. Yeah, and I said it's very difficult to get numbers, so if you can help me or help WWEA to get real numbers, just mail me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Frits. Also, thank you very much for all your efforts that you're putting into promoting small wind energy. Let us say that you are co-chairing this together with Mike Berge from the US. You don't have a business in this, but so you do this just because you like small wind and after all the experience that you have. Do we have any questions for Frits? Any comments? One thing that you haven't touched yet, I indirectly touched it in my introduction, is the cost situation. So I remember then when we started, there was a kilowatt hour from small wind generated in a range of 20 cents per kilowatt hour, maybe a little bit more, which at that time was similar like PV. Now PV at the best sites you can get for 2 cents, let's say in Central Europe, maybe below 10 cents even. Where is small wind today? Where do you see the cost development? I don't think we have much kind of mass production now. Is that in a range now which is lower than at that time?
No, it's still a goal to reach. History shows that mass production can lead to often make the price half. So let's say if it's now 40 cents a kilowatt hour, you can by mass production you can get it down to 20, but it's different. How many materials, which materials do you use? Um, how many logistics costs do you have? Um, is it what parts do you use? Do you need a lot of maintenance? There are turbines that work for, let's say, 20 years without maintenance, and also wind turbines that need a yearly control. So it's but mass production and also standardization that is also good for mass production.
Mhm. So we still have some ways to go. I'm curious now to hear from our next speakers. Now, Luis sent me a message on WhatsApp that he has some issues with internet. He's trying to reconnect. Luis Justino from Brazil, trying to come back, he writes. But then can we go ahead with Kate? Kate, you are
Problem.
representing a manufacturer here.
Yes.
And you are producing quite a range of small wind turbines. So not every company has such a range. So I'm curious to hear from you and maybe also come to those questions. But Kate, you are from the company which is in Europe, in the Baltic states, I understand. Maybe you can briefly introduce your company first.
Sure,
It's
sure. It's all included in my presentation, basically. But
very good. Then
yes, we are from Estonia, and I will now share my screen. Okay, and do you see it now?
yes, it's just not yet the presentation mode.
Why? It's supposed to be like the huge one.
Yeah, it's almost covering the screen, but there's still some, I
Mm,
see some frames there, which
one
maybe
second.
ideally
One
should.
sec. I will do this one more time,
Mhm.
like that.
Yes, now it's perfect.
Okay, perfect. So hello everyone. My name is Kate, and I'm a strategic sales executive at company Freen. And I want to share some insights and thoughts on small wind market today from a fresh player. Um, as I mentioned, our company called Freen goes from the free energy idea, basically not the free energy for free, but free energy as an affordable energy, wind energy for everyone. We are from Estonia. Company was founded in 2018, and we specialize in manufacturing small wind turbines, vertical ones and horizontal ones. Also, we do the subcontract manufacturing and metal working for different areas, including the renewables area. And this year, we also launched the new development and the new department related to the storages. And we're trying to focus on sodium and lithium technologies. And from the first day, we have been focused on the scalable production tools for our company. We see that today wind is still a very centralized idea, and it has been reserved for large scale players and for the utilities. But we know that there is a room and there is a opportunity for wind on a smaller scale. So basically, the mission of our company is to democratize wind energy, meaning that we want to make wind affordable and easy to use to all types of the customers, to power homes, businesses, to work with solar and other renewable energy solutions, and of course, to lower energy bills and increase the self-sufficiency. How we got in there, it wasn't like a really traditional way, maybe, because we spent nearly a decade for R&D. We were trying and testing different materials, different technologies, designs of the wind turbines, keeping in mind that we want to make it very mass production, which has led us today to the state that where we have the factory of 15,000 square meters located in Kotlajärve in Estonia. and with ability to produce up to 4,000 units per year. The flagship product that we started and we're still developing is the new generation of vertical wind turbines. I know, Frits, that now you see some ideas here, but maybe I can convince you that we're not this type of company. So basically, our models are based on the Dario type of the rotor, but we have a modern twist on that. First of all, we have the flexible blade technology, which is lighter and less noisy actually, and more safer for people. Also, we focus on lower ownership costs comparing to the horizontal type turbines, and our models have good energy conversion performance. The portfolio that we are offering now consists on vertical axis and horizontal axis. We added them this year with our partners from Estonia, and we're manufacturing them under the license. And the range of our products is from 6 to 20 kilowatts. Also, we are working as an R&D on bigger models, 55 and 90 kilowatts as well. For the market entrance, we just started the commercial activities last year. So basically, it was a very challenging time for small wind energy industry, and we realized a lot of barriers that are preventing small wind from the mass adoption. First of all, of course, the subsidy dependence, and all the regions, they have different ways to support or not support the small wind. Also, we saw a need for local policy support to promote the small wind. But on the other hand, we faced that a lot of customers and prospective clients, they are not aware of the small wind as a reliable and long-term renewable energy source. And they're trying to compare small wind with the solar, which is why we are focusing a lot on making this shift in the mind of people that we need to move away from wind versus solar and try to get to wind plus solar, because we really think that these two technologies, they complement each other and actually work better together. For the global outlook, we have the same experience as was presented before. We spoke to various customers from different areas. And for example, for the United States is a promising and very huge market. And it was part of our strategy to enter this market in the next few years. We were preparing for that. But of course, all of you know that due to the recent changes in the policies, everything is freezing now. So are we. We are waiting for the next steps, but hoping that the market will still evolve. Also, we experience strong interest from Ukraine because of their energy problems now. And they are more focused on off-grid solutions, on backup power solutions, some kind of microgrid solutions. And I believe that we will start some commercial activity even this year with the first projects of our wind turbines. And for the Africa is a totally different idea, totally different story, because the region is widely solar exposured, and it's traditional to have solar panels there. But still, we receive a lot of requests for wind turbines in different regions, and specifically for the hybrid solutions. But in Africa, it's hard to find a suitable place and suitable locations with a nice wind conditions, so it could be economically feasible. So this is where we're like trying to explore the potential opportunities to provide the real use cases in Africa region. And of course, as our home base is Estonia, we are working very closely to the government because it's a small country, not a lot of people, everyone knows each other, and actually authorities are reachable. And we see that Estonia is beginning to recognize small wind potential recently. We already have some programs and financial support for the businesses and for the entities, but now we are trying to unlock the same opportunities for the household and for at the residential scale. For example, we have now open the EU recovery grant that allows to apply for up to 300,000 euro for small companies and 5,100 euro for larger companies to actually buy and install renewable energy sources, and namely small wind turbines. And the entry point is very low because you have to co-finance like 30% of the project. And we think that those kind of programs are a real deal for Estonian people to secure their energy supply. However, of course, we see a lot of market gaps and challenges for small wind to become big. And first and foremost, maybe it's a surprise, but it's hardly to get seen out there because we don't have any dedicated, like specific events for small wind, and also not enough platforms to speak out loud and to present our solutions and to exchange the experience. If we're talking about the big wind expos, it's not a fit for small wind. We tested. We went to Bilbao last year in March for Wind Europe event. And all the people passing by, they ask like, oh, okay, how do? You provide a small wind manufacturing. Okay, and how small? Like 200 kilowatts? And I'm like, no, we manufacture 20. They're like, oh, that's small. I wonder how we can use it. It was a nice experience, a little bit frustrating. But let's say the energy events, they fits better to expose the technology, but still they are very focused on more traditional renewable energies, sources like solar, storage, and hydrogen, which is highly evolving now. And one of the biggest pain points, of course, also the regulatory framework, because the small wind is in gray zone or not mentioned at all in all the documentations. So we face this challenge that people and the end users, the installer companies and manufacturers like us, we just cannot effectively execute those type of projects connected to the small wind. Our goal is to remove some entry barriers that we can. So first of all is the high initial cost. Yeah, the things that you mentioned, the price per kilowatt. Our idea here is to focus on very cost-effective and accessible wind turbines. Like simple words, we try to produce very cheap solutions that enable people in business to start small, see how it goes, and then to scale gradually. But even the best technology will not scale if people don't know that it exists or they don't trust it yet, which is why we see a strong need to educate policymakers on how small wind can complement the national energy plans. Also, we know that we need to inform consumers that small wind is actually out there. It's a reliable technology. It's a long-term technology that you can take a look. And also, we are trying to do this like evangelistic activities, and we challenge this idea and this outdated perception of wind being only reserved for large scale, for some infrastructural, huge wind plants, or restricted only to like offshore areas with a super high wind speeds. So this is what we are trying also to fix out there. And we believe that small wind is still in its very early days. The technology is old, but the idea is young. And we think that to fully realize the potential of this technology, we need to stand together and act together and push the collective efforts for all the industry. So we think that we need to make small wind credible, scalable, visible. Of course, push for stronger policy support, deeper research, and shared standards, and educate the society, build understanding, and the most important, create the demand for this technology. That's all from my side. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I hope that together we can make small wind a really big deal.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kay. That was a very good presentation and a very inspiring presentation as well. You covered really many aspects. Do we have
Yeah.
any questions here? I mean, I have some questions, certainly.
Sure.
I mean, you said that one of the main points is making small wind visible, and
Yes.
I couldn't agree more. What we did or what we tried many years ago was to make just to make have an event where people can go to. We had this at the New Energy in Husum. Some of you may remember that. That was more than, well, we started it actually in 2012. We also are aware, of course, we do our annual World Wind Energy Conference where small wind plays a role, but it's of course also the big machines which are more relevant. We also tried other, like we tried one year at the Intersolar, where they kind of, those who are used to these small entities, I mean small units, but it's something that I think we should think of. So you have not yet kind of found that forum where you see you can present yourself.
I have been, so we had a stand in Bilbao at Wind Europe, like, like big and fancy with the coverage, exposure, marketing, everything. But actually, yes, we faced that the big wind is not for us. Regarding the other events, I was attending several ones like Wind Energy last September in Germany. Also, I was even at Hannover Messe this year because like it's also kind of, like related to the manufacturing where we can actually speak out loud. But no, we haven't. And we even were thinking of creating something that you mentioned, like for maybe for dedicated consumers. But the idea is not only to to attract the potential customers, because it's not about that. It's about making this demand, as I mentioned, as it was with solar. Many years ago, no one knew what is the solar panel, how to install it. It was weird, awkward, maybe like a very costly thing. But then those combined efforts, together with the subsidies, of course, and support from the government, because people, they don't want to pay out of their pocket for something that cannot pay. Like I have the greed, so I don't have to pay. Why should I bother? But then the solar become like a must-have for everyone, and now it was a push, for this technology. So I believe that now we are in the point where we actually can either try to allocate this, like this exposure on the traditional events, on traditional platforms, on traditional forums, but maybe even think about creating something. I don't know, like try 10 years have passed. Maybe we can try to do this one more time, like with the joint efforts. And also we have the experience that we haven't participated yet, but we have the plans for this year and for the next year to actually try to propose our products and the ideas on some local events related to the industry, like for the agriculture, for the farming, for the forestry, maybe defense, maybe telecom. So those kind of events, they can also be a nice place to expose. But of course, it takes a lot of money and a lot of time. It's just like, like you take your bag and you just 12 months out of your house because you have to travel all over.
Yeah, that's, I mean, also a little bit as we, as a global organization working on that, of course, we can bring people together, but you see that the usually markets are more, people are focused on certain countries and then bring them all together at one place. Let's say doing something in Germany for those in the US or in China is, may be interested, but not necessarily. I believe, Kate, that that's something that within the association, you're also a member, we should continue to discuss. And please, we can bilaterally, trilaterally see what we can do, because that's certainly something we would like to know. I've two more questions. One is that it seems that indeed the cost, you've touched it as well, is something which makes it easier. It's not the only factor that we know, because PV also started when I remember when I started more than 20 years ago, a kilowatt hour was about €1. And still people liked it and they didn't
Yeah.
make profit. I think we are at the point, and in this submission that we made, there was even some data from Israel. Unfortunately, our friend Gadi Hareli, he cannot be with us today because in hospital, but he showed some slides how small wind in combination with PV, for example, can reduce overall cost. Where are you with your products? Can you kind of give an indication? Have you looked into this?
Yeah, for sure. Because as I said, that we started the commercial activity a year ago. We don't have any commercially installed turbines yet, not a single one, but we have some commitments, we have some arrangements, some agreements. We realize that it's a long-term process, and we had to identify from one point what would be the offering, like you mentioned, which is why we are focused on solar and complementing solar, because wind turbines, they produce more energy at winter, they produce energy at night, and when we were trying to combine those two technologies, we saw a very nice collateral output. But the second point that we faced is that we did some researches on the market and on the market prices. And basically, at the moment, the average cost per kilowatt, I would say, can reach like 15 cents,
Kilowatt hour, you mean?
Yeah,
Kilowatt hour.
like 15 cents. And our goal, and we are trying to make our turbines to be as low as 10. So closer to 10 or maybe 12, depending on the location. And our output, for the vertical ones, of course, the energy output for the vertical turbine is lower than for the horizontal one. It's a natural thing. But there are some applications for vertical ones, and our selling point here is that we want to sell them like twice lower than the horizontal ones. Because when person thinks, okay, I'm a farmer and I want to have a small wind turbine, I want to estimate what is happening out there, and maybe this person don't have like high expectations for the energy. And they start to identify the costs, and they see, okay, this is the horizontal from another manufacturer, and the overall cost for the installation would be around 80,000 euro, let's say. So 80,000 is a decent amount. So we are trying to offer twice lower energy output. Yes, twice lower, but for 20,000. And this is where they start to think, because 20,000 just to try out, to see if it works, if it's feasible, if it's reasonable. I still get some renewable energy. I still can put a logo on my production, on my products that's made with the help of renewable energy. Use it in my marketing things, but it will not cost me this much. So yeah, from our side, we are trying to make it low cost, and not only because of the materials or because of the construction, of course, because of that, but we are the manufacturers. We have this financial tools and the legs to buy more materials, to create more, to reduce the procedures, to make the automation. So yeah, our goal basically is to get into this direction and see what will happen. Yeah.
Well, with the 15 cents, I think at least in the European markets, you should be a good alternative people will look at farms, for example, farmhouses who have a relatively high consumption. And that's where you already see some small wind turbines. My final question, you touched it already. is I've seen that you are aiming at both technologies, vertical axis and horizontal axis. Now,
Yes.
there's many people who say, yeah, vertical axis, that's not something that is really working well. It's more for aesthetic reasons. You've already mentioned that the vertical axis, indirectly, I think you said that has less output. Can you just say why you go for those both options?
Basically, the idea of our company, and the company was created by one of the inventors, Valery. He had patented this flexible blade idea because the vertical wind turbine, when it's rotating, our blades, they are like, making this shape. Not the straight one, but more rounded, and that was calculated as the higher conversion power and higher output. So working with a lower RPM but producing more power. And this concept and this design we were working on those years. So now, when we started to test this technology, it showed a really nice output, but still vertical ones, they cannot provide this amount of energy as the horizontal ones due to the construction actually. But we stay with vertical, we are trying to find this golden, this golden middle between the output, between the simplicity of the technology, between the noise, between the installation and maintenance, and all those points that are like coming after the price and after the AEP. Yeah, because first is how much does it cost, how much does it produce, but after that a lot of other questions they raise up. So we believe that there is a fit for vertical ones. And we started to also work with the horizontal because being a company on the market, we receive different requests, and we would like to address all of them. And for that, of course, the horizontal technology works, and we are trying now to establish the relations with our current previous requests, to offer them new technology just to cover their needs, to make some money, all the business. Yes, we are here for the bigger goal, but everyone needs to eat. And
Very good.
yes, basically it was the same thing why we started the development of the storages, because a lot of people, they ask for the for these complete solutions, because they want to not only produce power, many of them they cannot sell back to the grid, and they want to store. And when they come to us, they're like, okay, can you do the turnkey? And now I believe that in a few months from now, we can offer also the turnkey together with the storages.
That's another very important aspect now. I think especially the hybridization, that is the future. We can see this everywhere, especially when the discussion that we have will become much stronger, that some people will complain a lot about solar only, because in summer, we're talking about, like, you are also based in Europe, in summer at noon, there's just too much, but what are we doing in winter? And in summer, even we may not know what to do with it. But Kate, that was very interesting. Just let's see whether other people have questions here as well. And do we have any other comments here, questions? Otherwise, a great thank you. Oh, Frits, you have one, please. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah. All right. I think I like your approach. So I think it's a very good approach to the market. And I'm looking out for applications and references in the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I will definitely share. And since we just started to be the member of the Wind Energy Association last year, I believe it was summer or something. So I think that this year and upcoming years, you will see more from our company. It's at least something that we would really like to see there.
Yeah, and about the let's say the bigger the wind turbine manufacturers, they all forget that they started also small.
I agree. I
Okay,
agree.
That's an
Yeah.
thank you.
interesting discussion, and I've seen also Liz Bartram here from the Mills Archive Trust. We recently had a meeting. I think she's just left now again. We had a meeting about archiving the history of wind power. We've dealt a lot with how it started and visited the German Wind Power Museum, where you see all these small wind turbines. They are in the range of like what you're now aiming at. Yeah, I think this is very exciting, and I'm convinced that small wind has now a future. Now, after there was some not so easy years, there is a strong need. The closer we come to the 100% renewable energy in the electricity, the more difficult it will be and challenging to close the final percentage without small wind, and small wind can contribute to that a lot. So let's go to our next speaker. It's my pleasure again, Luiz, having you back. Obviously,
Hello.
some connection issues, but it's great you are here with us. Full name, Professor Luiz Justino da Silva Jr. I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Yes, it's okay.
And you are a professor at the University Federal. Yeah, again, here is in Brazil, the Oeste da Bahia. That's the west of Bahia, the province in Brazil, I understand. So you are working on small wind as well, and it's my pleasure to hand over to you. We hear from Brazil now.
Yes, sorry for the connection problem. Right now, I can show you some experience that I've been working over the last 5 years, studying and applying small wind technology on a lab, and study wind social assessment near University. We are located in a good wind resource, and we can working hard to develop the technology, mainly in Brazil, that we are in the early stage of small wind. So I will share my presentation right now. Can everybody see the?
Yes, if you switch to presentation mode, then it's perfect. You still see the frames around it, otherwise it looks good. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, and just 1 minute to measure the time. So small wind technology in Brazil and South America. My name is Luiz Justino, and I will show you the experience from Brazil and a little bit about South America. My background is I've been a wind community member since 2021, since I started my PhD in the small wind field. I'm a professor of mechanical engineering for 9 years. 5 years studied small wind technology and doing PhD in the small wind energy field. My background about this field. So the webinar is structured right now. 5 main points: the definition of small wind, the small wind energy system, small wind South America, research and development activities, and UFOB University is the university that I work at, the Federal University that I work in Brazil. And some insights from the innovators to give a direction in this area, mainly for me that I'm new in the small winds, just 5 years of experience on a lab. The definition of small winds, as Frits showed before on his presentation, we are here. The main definition is about the generation size, less than 100 kilowatts of nominal power. So it's the overall definitions around the world that I've been researching and using as well. Another definition use the diameter. So the diameter, what about the diameter? Diameter, we can use less than 20 meters of diameter from 0.5 or for from my example here in a lab, my diameter, it's about less than that because I use micro wind turbine, but we can use from 0.5 to 20 meter of diameter. Okay. The small wind energy system, what the main components? We have wind rotor, we have permanent magnet synchro generation, we have the AC-DC converter, a rectifier, we have a storage system, a energy storage or supercapacitor right here. We have a DC-AC converter, an inverter, and we can use a local load, something like that. We have here a grid, if you prefer, but I think that the off-grid system is more applied for small wind. As example, we have zonal rural communities and something like that. Here we have an example, a general example of small wind energy system. A small wind, a tower, safety switch, inverter, AC load center, utility meter, as a simple example. So, what about small wind in South America? Because of timing, I've chosen the more experienced countries in the wind energy sector in South America: Brazil, Argentina, Chile, and Uruguay. About wind farm experience. So, small wind, we have a little experience right here, but we can measure from this method. What about the first legislation of distributed generation? Overall comparative analysis right now. Brazil, the first legislations about distributed generation, now it's not about only small wind technology, but solar energy, small hydropower. We can apply for many situations. So Brazil, the first legislation came from 2012, Argentina 2017, Chile 2008, and Uruguay we have very early 2002. Okay. So now a brief history in Brazil. The small wind in Brazil came from aeronautic research experience. So we know that some part of knowledge from wind energy came from aeronautic or aerospace engineering. So the first prototype we have here was a partnership between two aeronautic research, one from Brazil and another one from Germany. Okay, the location on was installed this prototype was Natal City, located in Rio Grande do Norte state in Brazil, a good location for wind research. The first experience was 1987, the first prototype. This prototype not take too much time, just about 9 months. Some problems, some operational problems with this prototype. So the power 5 kilowatt and diameter 8 meters of diameter. And what about the first small wind turbine installed in Brazil that really worked? So we have here the power 75 kilowatts of 17 meter of diameter. The year was 1992. Location, Fernando de Noronha Island. It's located in Pernambuco State. And a partnership between the University of Pernambuco, a company of energy in Brazil, and Folk Center. Folk Center is one of the main research centers from Denmark. The pioneer is Everaldo Fetosa, is the member from wind community as well. So right now, what we have in Brazil is consuming units with distributed generation until February 2020. So we can see a comparative between some type of renewable energy source. So we can see wind energy, small wind energy, just 61 number of plants, and the units of consumer 105 in compare with another one. So it's very, very small. So photovoltaic, the solar energy from photovoltaic system grew very fast, and we have much more frequent and commercialization about photovoltaic in Brazil than other sources. And what the limitation in Brazil about small wind, the current situation in Brazil, government policies, we need more incentives. We need more public policies to promote this technology, because the technology development is expensive right now. So we need increase in financing, increase in consumer confidence, because there is no social acceptance and digital marketing promotion yet. Okay, we have right now underdeveloped markets, so we need more research, we need more development and innovation to contribute to a better world, a better Brazil with this technology. To summarize, in Brazil, low competitiveness with distributed solar energy, incentive-dependent market, stagnant market, and so far, 1% share of distributed generation. It's very, very, very low. So what about Argentina? The first initiatives in Argentina came from 1999, some renewable energy project for the rural market, and another project, 500 RPM Foundation. It's focused on installing small wind system in rural communities, in rural markets, the main market of the small wind technology. And Argentina has some experience about the installations between 4,000, 60,000 units. And some manufacturers are notable 18 national companies, but we have some limitations about the generation size from 150 watts to 10 kilowatts. So we can analyze the situation as an undeveloped market as well, because we can see the definition of small wind. We have generation size until 100 kilowatts of nominal power. And challenges in Argentina: high cost of small wind system and maintenance, regulatory gaps, permitting technical standard, net metering, market scale, need for incentives from national government in volume to reduce unit cost. So the technology in Argentina, it's very expensive as well. Awareness, social acceptance, and limited visibility because of the solar energy. It's very, very frequent on marketing, on media, around the many countries in South America. What about Chile? About Chile and Uruguay, we have less information about small wind. Challenging in Chile, technology adoption, as Brazil and Argentina, very few wind-based systems have been installed. Most distributed generation in Chile is solar PV. Solar PV, and it's more simple, it's more direct conversion from solar radiation to electrical energy, and it's more cheap right now. It's more cheap right now. Economic barriers, some barriers we have, it's involved economically viable in the short term without subsidies. We have incentive. We need government to improve this. In Uruguay, some similar experience, lack of target policies for distributed wind, criticism for some public sectors. Centralized power plants already cover rural demand effectively. Então, some resistance to change to use small wind technology. Concern about cost efficient as well. The technology is very expensive right now. What about the research activity and development activities in Brazil? I'm a professor, as I said before, I'm a professor of mechanical engineering, 9 years of experience, and I work in a federal university in Bahia State. It's a young university, just 11 years old. Okay, but just da Lapa City, we have 2 courses right now, mechanical engineering and electrical engineering. Some students that have finished the course are working on wind and solar energy sectors. But what about the research in this young university? We have right now, I've been working so far since 2020 on the pandemic period. I used this experimental mode to develop the experimental small wind system on the university, the mechanical engineering lab. So I use some adaptations like hot wire anemometer and ultrasonic anemometer, hot wire anemometer, tachometer, and using a torque sensor as well here to measure the rotation and the mechanical power. So we have here the electrical system to see the tension and current, electrical current. And what about this small technology? It's a prototyping, a fast prototyping, micro scale, 40 power of nominal power. For vertical, we are using vertical and horizontal as well because it's the main classification of small wind. What's the difference we have here? Is the 3D printing application with more frequency, because the 3D printing is the revolution right now. We know that it was invented in 1989 from MIT professor. So because of the patent, we have to wait 20 years. And 2009, we had the first company to build, to manufacture 3D printed machine. So right now, we are on the state of art to use around the roads, the accessibility to use 3D printing with more frequency. And with the 3D printing, we can test many times and low cost. So, small wind technology as well, vertical axial wind turbine and in horizontal axis with turbine to what? To test fast, trial and error fast, and compare new airfoils. New airfoils, we have to increase the power coefficient. We have to increase the efficiency of the small wind technology. So we can compare with the traditional airfoils like Beige airfoil. We have the BW3 as an example on the airfoils 2, airfoils data on the website. So we can move fast. We can move fast and bring some results more quickly with 3D printing. And with the green challenge for small wind technology, we have here the Bianchini et al. Small wind turbine technical committee from Europe, involve the National Renewable Energy Laboratory from USA, CMAT, some research center from Italy and Germany as well. So is the state of art of small wind technology. Improve energy conversion of modern small wind turbine through better design and control, better predict long-term turbine performance with limited result measurement, improve reliability, improve the economic viability of small wind energy, facilitate the contribution of small wind technology to energy demand in electrical system integration. Force engagement, social acceptance, deployment for global distributed wind markets. So small wind is a necessity. Energy is a necessity for rural community, for we reduce poverty. So small wind is a necessity for ground wind place. Learn with the innovators is my reference, the wind community and innovators as well. What Edison said, 10,000 ways to that won't work. Why? Because Edison used the try and error method to develop the technology. On the second revolution, we are now on the fourth revolution. So 3D printing allows to do many tests. So we can do many tests, trial and error fast. We know that aerodynamics is experimental. Aerodynamics is experimental. This experience came from aeronautic field. So the best machine is the one with the fewest parts. If Tesla say that, who I am to do the opposite? Simplicity is the way. We have to reduce, we have to simplify the components, not to make complexity on this wind machine. So another inventor, another one is the Brazilian innovator, Santos Dumont. Came from one of the pioneers besides the Wright brothers. Okay, to invent is to imagine what no one imagined. Okay, we don't have many data in some cases. Small winds technology is an example that I have here in Brazil. Too little data to analyze. What we will do? I have to observe. I have to look to the nature, like aeronautic space. Began look for the birds and see the details to develop the technology. We can see, we know that small wind technology works. Berge is an example. Bornai from Expand is an example. We know, we can, and we're going to improve this technology. I believe that my students, my team believe. Wind community believe. We know that. So, some thanks to my university and WWEA University, my students, the Osmario Silva the electromechanic technician from university, very experienced. My PhD supervisors and with the community. I've learned too much over the last 5 years and 4 years as a member of the wind community. Okay, I think that's it. Some reference, and thank you very much for the opportunity, Stefan, Frits, Martina. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Luiz. That's also been a very inspiring presentation and also some memories, personal memories you reminded me of. You showed the picture of Fernando de Noronha, and I was there. It's now more than 15 years ago, and I saw those windmills. It's a very suitable place for small wind. And Everaldo Feitosa, who is one of our board members as well. Let's mention that. Luiz, I have a question, maybe others also, please be prepared. You are now showing us what you are doing also at your university. You showed us the markets in Brazil, Uruguay, Chile, Argentina. Are there already some manufacturers in the region which can provide those small wind turbines? What's the situation at the moment in those
Yes,
countries?
we have Universidade as one of the first companies. The Universidade have tested this technology, its technology in Folk Center. So it's the most experienced. It's about 15 years of experience in small wind. But Universidade fabricates 1 kilowatt and 5 kilowatts, until 5 kilowatts of power for small wind technology. And some micro wind turbine boats to small boats, 300 watts. So the experience, it's limited until 5 kilowatts. So we need to develop. We need to research, develop, innovate, because small wind is the future, is the present and the future. Energy is not a cycle like other economic sectors. Energy is frequent. Energy is a necessity. So we need now. Why I'm showing this 5-year experience? Because it's a necessity. We know that the wind energy came from move fast from oil crisis, 1970. So right now, we have a necessity in emerging countries because of the revolution, because of the population is increasing, the industry is increasing. So we need solution. Small wind is a solution.
Yes, so nothing
It's
more.
not only the solar energy. Solar energy is cheap because of the simplicity. We need go forward to the simplicity. The simplicity is the way. It's not Luiz Justino that it's talking. It's Tesla. It's Isaac Newton. It's Thomas Edison.
Yes, these statements that you showed from those really famous people, I think that shows us, and that's probably also one reason why electric cars are at the moment starting to take over, because they're much simpler than those combustion engines. Electric motor lasts much longer. Yeah, we all do agree here that small wind has a future, and believe we know also what the role is. Now, let's continue working on it. That, I believe, Kate, your statement, make it more visible, create more awareness. And I think, Luiz, some of the arguments that you've mentioned, not as your arguments, they are underlining this because they can easily be encountered. Do we have any other comments or questions now directly to Luiz? I think this was a very good overview of those 4 countries, which I believe, yeah, shows us that in the world region where you are, indeed, things are happening. But again, what we see here is that it's more still a little bit in the infancy. So what we need is maybe not the Tesla of small wind, because probably we will never have such a centralized small wind, but some startups becoming bigger and not talking about dozens of units produced per year, but thousands. That's certainly the range that we have to go to. Now, I'm looking at the time. I'm very grateful for the 3
Thank you.
presentations. Kate, I see that you unmuted yourself, and I'd like to invite you to give us a kind of summarizing statement, what we should do, and maybe also for those who are listening, what you would recommend to like individuals, be it a farmer or someone, how they should now, if they want to, they're interested in small wind, what they should do.
Thank you. I would say that first of all, you need to stay open-minded because the new things and new technologies, remember, we never had a cell phone in our hand, like, I don't know, 10 years ago. And people were like, what is that? Should I wear it with myself? How it's going to work? And nowadays, it's a common thing in our lives. Why? Combining 2 things. First thing, of course, incentive, governmental, someone wants to make money on that, which is why the technology develops. But the second one is, of course, the natural idea of person to take a look. What is out there? What is ahead? What is the progress? How can I contribute? How can I make my life better? So for all the individuals who are looking into their lives and enhancing the quality of their lives, I would recommend to look wider, to search for new opportunities, new technologies, follow the podcasts, I don't know, watch the YouTube videos, and thinking a little bit beyond the boundaries that they are here to have. And specifically for the small wind, I would say that do not be afraid of maybe asking, because we also face the thing that people are inside themselves, and maybe they're talking only to the neighbors, or they're watching the TV, and they think that, okay, so this is something new, I don't know what is that, and I won't even bother to ask if this is a fit for me. So for individuals, I would encourage them to go to the companies out there, go to the scientists out there, ask for what is happening now, what is the ground from the business point of view, what is the ground from the scientist point of view, and what is the ground from the association's point of view, because naturally, I think that associations like World Wind Energy Association is the one and the only place to have everything in place, like having all the information together. So if we can make this exposure, I think it will start moving with the natural force of people, not only the incentives and governmental policies.
That's I think a good statement as a kind of your final statement. Make use of the people. So if the people understand it, then things start rolling indeed.
Yes,
So that's
sure.
where we have to go to. Luiz, if I may ask you again, kind of, if somebody comes to you from Brazil or maybe from a neighbor country and says, I'm interested in small wind, what to do? What will you answer?
What about the small winds here? As I said before, Surge is the main company, but we are trying right now on a lab to develop, to research. We are using scientific knowledge to convert to technology and to validate. So small wind is not very popular as USA or Europe right now, but is an opportunity to provide solution for rural communities mainly. Another point of view about the urban, I think urban energy from wind is not a good idea. Why? Safety problems. For example, in a third try, some years ago, the Brazilian company tried to install vertical axis on a rooftop, but it stopped to fabricate. Why? Because it didn't work. So I can send to Frits later a video from any search from YouTube. I think vertical axis is very specific. We can use, for example, vertical axis on the airport. We can use try to validate. But rooftop is not a good idea. In Brazil, because of the boom, the exponential growth, the solar energy, many solar companies installed solar panels on a rooftop without a structural analysis. What happened? Some building fell down. Okay. And what about the small wind? If something happened in great fast, the same thing. The same thing. It's very dangerous in this situation. We can have some problems, some accidents, as we have had in Brazil because of the exponential growth of the solar energy. So I think small wind, it's on the ground. Small wind is on the ground, no rooftop. Okay? It's very dangerous, very risky to put small wind off a rooftop. I've studied many scientists as Paul Geipe. I have to see some experience from company, share the information. And I have this position. It's very risky. And the best innovators talk about simplicity. Why try to do the opposite? We need the wind community. We can't do this alone. Engineering is testing. It's not thinking about social media. We have social media today. Everything is good. Everything is good. I have to focus on the better solution and try to do the conventional to improve, because small wind is not a breakthrough technology. Small wind is an improvement. Okay, simplicity. We know that today we have some technology from small wind is, for example, the new technology use the Fibonacci concept is I forgot right now. It's a new technology, I think, from Germany, but I don't know. I really don't know. I never tested here on the lab. I'm trying to focus what the most experienced small wind expert like Beje Bornai, we really apply the knowledge and 40 years of experience. I have to listen these people. Okay.
I believe that your message is certainly what we should be realistic, no? In the expectations.
Yes. Improvement.
There is proven technology. You're touching also something that we are not going into detail today, but that's kind of related to security and also certification processes are very important. I would recommend to all those who are listening us, for example, on YouTube, in our YouTube channel, you find also videos which are kind of going into detail when it comes to certification, etc. That goes beyond the scope of today's webinar, but certainly that's the message that I take from you. I've personally seen also some not so good cases where wind turbine blades kind of flying around. That's not what should happen, certainly. So this is something that people should bear in mind. So go for proven, reliable technology, which are certified.
Yes, and the last message is the 3D printed is a revolution. So, for example, I've tested more than 50 blades from vertical and horizontal, and we know that the vertical axle wind turbine is less efficient. When I started, I have a view of the vertical, but the reality showed me that the new thing is more horizontal. But with a new airfoil, with a new generation, we have a new type of permanent magnet electrical generation. So, but the breakthrough is very, very hard. I can see, for example, I like to read the biography for innovator like Edison and Tesla because we can learn too much. So the breakthrough is when you have too much experience. It's not new in 1 year. We have to, for example, Einstein. Einstein discovered the relative theory studying more than 10 years. So it's not something in 1 year. It's not a bet. Okay, I can see this. I can say this phrase for all of you is experience the move the words, they move the innovation like we can see. So in scientific papers we have very optimistic and some situations very optimistic about vertical and horizontal, but I said 2 things on WhatsApp that vertical is very specific. For example, airports. Okay, we have the streamlines. We have turbulent winds in this situation, but for rural communities, we use horizontal axis wind turbine.
Yes.
There is no wind machine more
Luiz,
efficient than.
in the interest
Okay.
of time, I have to now say thank you. We know vertical axis we heard also, Kate, you had the same message. There are some pros, but they are a bit less efficient. I think that is now very clear. But people who buy one, they should really get good information and make themselves get some independent information. There are also independent portals. Frits, the final words for you. Now, after listening also to Luiz and Kate from 2 different world regions, also Kate looking into other world regions as potential market, would you like to summarize our meeting and then conclude the meeting?
Well, it was very insightful presentations. And I think it's for the collection we are building up of this kind of webinars and presentations from small wind manufacturers. It's a nice contribution. There's only one thing I'd like to add. Small wind turbines are made in masses. So also the rotors of small wind turbines are made in masses. So it's very important to have a wind assessment before you are going to place a small wind or medium wind turbine. A wind assessment on the place you'd like to have the generator. And then at least with a wind measurement of 1 year and with a storm. So you get then a wind average over a year, and you can check with this wind measurement over 1 year which rotor suits the best for that place. That's what I wanted to add. But it was very nice to have you here.
Yes, with this, I believe indeed those who want to buy a new wind turbine, a small wind turbine, look into others independent sources, look into our YouTube channel because there is also some webinars giving more practical advice. I'm sure that depending on where you are, our colleagues here, they also happy if you contact them. You can contact them also via us. So if you would like to contact Kate or Luiz or Frits, contact us via our website and we will connect you. With this, I'd like again to say thank you very much to the speakers and those listening to us. It was very insightful, and that's already announced that, of course, we will have another webinar about small wind turbines where we will try to present the practitioners' perspectives as well. And we will keep working also on the international level to make small wind visible and make people be aware. Thank you and goodbye. Have a good
Thank
day.
you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.